we're talking about teenage drivers and accidents. So the first thing we're going to write down is our population and what we're calling success. And then we're going to define our variable. So here, what is it we're talking about? We're talking about accidents. And which ones are special? The ones that have teen drivers. So my population would be all accidents, and success would be we have a teen driver. So then this step, I recommend you write those down. That helps you write this next line. This one is required. Let P be the proportion of this that did that. That's why we write these down. It's P is always the proportion of these that did this. Of accidents with teen drivers. Okay, then every time they're going to give me 2 out of the 3. We have our sample, which will be X, N, and P hat. I highly recommend you go through in your notes and write down in words what these mean. That's the number of successes in the sample size, the sample proportion of success. They're always going to give me 2 out of the 3, and I have to find the third. So what did they tell me? There's my sample size. I had 582 accidents. Out of those, 91 were successful, had a teen driver. That's not 91%, that's an actual number. Okay, and we're going to create a 95% interval. Okay, so now to find P hat, that's always X over N. So I'm going to let me pull up the calculator. So that is 91 divided by, what was it, 582. So about 15.6% of the sample accidents had a teen driver. We want to make a prediction about all accidents. So we're going to go into stat, over to tests, and down to A. 1 prop interval. We know we're doing prop because we're doing a proportion problem. We know we're doing interval because it says create an interval. And I would just type in our numbers, 91 out of 582. And it asks us for a 95% interval. We hit enter, we're done. That's literally all the math right there. 0.127, I'm going to round to the 3rd place, and 0.186. Okay, now we just have to write a sentence. And that's always, we are, in this case, it was 95% confident that between, don't forget the word between, because this is a range of values, lower and upper, 12.7% and 18.6% of this. Of these did that. Of all, not the sampled, of all accidents have teen drivers. That's it. That's our entire confidence interval. Now, there might be follow-up questions. In this case, there's a follow-up question. But we're done with the confidence interval. That's literally it. So we've explained what the interval means. Like I've done part A and B. 95% confidence means 95% of all possible samples contain the true population proportion of success. That is this statement right here. Like, I don't like to ask that on a test, but if you have a homework question that asks, explain what 95% confident means, it's literally this sentence. And then there's this question. This politician is saying 1 out of every 5 accidents has a teenager behind the wheel. 1 out of 5 is 20%. Say he says 20% of accidents have teens. Look at my interval. My interval says I'm pretty sure, 95% sure, the real number is between 12.7 and 18.6. So what do I think about 20%? No, I don't believe that. In fact, I'm 95% sure that guy is wrong. I'm more than 95% sure. So there's a 95% chance the real answer lives in here. So that's a 5% chance I'm wrong, meaning there's a 2.5% chance the real answer is up here, and a 2.5% it's down here. Now, you don't have to say all that. All we have to say is, what was that, question B? We don't believe him. %20 is not in the interval. If somebody makes a claim and it's not in your interval, you say, no, I don't believe it. I am more than 95% in this case sure that that person's wrong. What if it is in the interval? Well, you never say you believe something. Remember, the whole point of science is somebody makes a claim and you try really hard to prove that claim wrong. That's the way science works. We don't try to prove things right. We try to disprove things we think are wrong. So if somebody said, I think the real answer is 17%, you'd say, yeah, that's possible. That's in my interval. I don't necessarily believe it, but I don't disbelieve it. I haven't proven it wrong.